Good fine evening, fellow YouTubers. It's a brand new week, a chance for productivity and getting things done. I've started working on another batch of wands for my Etsy store, some of which you'll be able to smoke out of. I came up with a cool concept of turning a wand into a pipe. So you'll have the versatility of a magic wand and a pipe. And speaking of wands, as I mentioned in my hamburger video, one of my wands was stolen, so it fell out of my pocket when I was at the bar. No big whoop, I'll just make another one. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I just finished putting the final coat of paint on my new wand. And as soon as it's done drying, I'm gonna add a copper handle to it and then polish it. Now, when you're building a business, it's good to stay on top of things and keep it in a consistent flow. Even if you don't have your own business, something to remember is to keep working hard at what you achieve. And when you work hard at what you achieve, you can do anything you set your mind to. That's a given fact. You can do anything you set your mind to, YouTube. It's all about how much effort are you willing to put into it. This will be my last one for the evening, and then I'm going to retire and let the wand dry like it's supposed to. If you'd like to see a video of me wrapping the copper around my new wand, I can do that. This would be the first pipe wand that I've made for the batch. You can see the bowls right there, and the mouthpiece is right there. You want to get a screen for it, and then you load your tobacco into the bowl, and then you know, let's demonstrate right quick. Like I said, YouTube, you can do anything you set your mind to. And when it comes to establishing a solid career, you gotta work hard at it and maintain it. Otherwise, it falls apart. Now, the tobacco goes in there like so. I didn't load it all the way, but just a little bit to demonstrate. smoking tobacco out of the wand is a lot harsher. There's no filter and no screen. So it's a bit of a rough hit, but it works. Couple of hits out of the wand pipe to demonstrate how this works. And in order for this to actually work, I need a thicker stick. That's why the stick right here is so fat. You know, it makes carving it into a wand slash pipe much easier. But, yeah, I'd call it a booming success. That turned out really nice. I didn't podge or put any glue near the bowl or on the inside of it. That way it makes it safe to, yeah. And screens are really easy to make. You can take some tin foil, poke a hole through it, and then pack it down in there so that it acts as a screen. But trying a different style of wand, I've never seen people actually attempt to put a pipe into a handheld wand before. I had the idea and I thought, why not? So when I get up in a couple hours, I'll be fresh at it, carving the wands out after I get the copper wrapped around my wand handle. And I get the glue in place, and while I let it dry, I'm going to carve out a couple more of these wand pipes. That way I can sell some more in my Etsy store. Have a couple ready to go. And, well, I'll carve as many as I can. And if I don't have a full set of 10, I can always gather more sticks. That's not a problem. But the first one I made didn't turn out half bad. So there will be no age limit for purchasing a wand pipe. However, I don't provide the screen or the smoke to go into it. That's on the buyer's behalf. But yeah, go ahead and turn the heater off. It's starting to hiss a little bit, not having it. But it doesn't matter what your career is. If you want to have a good career, you got to work hard at it and come up with new ways to sell your product. You know what I'm saying? Also, I want to give a shout out to Michael Baldwin, who bought me a pair of these really cool socks. And a shout out to Joshua Lawyer, who sent me a box of cherry cardinals. They're delicious. I can do a review on those in my next video. But, yeah. Now, carving out a wand pipe does take a little bit longer because you want a stick that's fat enough, and you definitely don't want to go too deep, otherwise you'll poke a hole in the bottom, you know. But up close it looks like a wand, but then I mean at a distance it looks like a wand, but then up close you're like, hey, check that out. And I test all my wand pipes with tobacco before I finish carving them all the way through and painting them on the blade, and but yeah, that's cool looking, man. Now, you should be more worried about establishing a career than you should be about pursuing romantic interest. And sometimes when it comes to romantic interest, you just got to be patient and let nature run its course and wait till you're old enough and that sort of thing. You know. And don't let society pressure you into being ashamed of your body or pursuing romantic interest when you're not ready. That's one thing that I don't like about our society is they do stuff like that. Yeah. Now, one of my friends has older parents, and one of them is getting out of the hospital in a couple hours. So my friend needed help cleaning his house, so I helped him and his mom and my other friend do some of that. And it wasn't anything too demanding. It was dusting and vacuuming, that sort of thing, getting dog hair off a rug, you know. You know, that's the thing of it. When you do a good deed, don't expect nothing in return. Just do a good deed because it feels good to help people. When you do a good deed, do it out of the kindness of your heart. Don't do it and then expect something in return, you know. And when you least expect it, karma repays you for it. Just don't expect it to, you know. Now, as we get older, certain things become more difficult to do. And cleaning a house is not exactly an easy task when you're older, you know. So, respect your elders and respect women. That's just how I was raised. Which brings me to my next point. Fellas, you have to understand, talking to the dudes here, a lot of women have been brought up to think all men are just pigs. So right off the bat, it puts women on the defensive before they've even had a chance to meet decent people. So you have to be patient and understanding, and if you're not a pig and an asshole, you'll be patient and understanding. And that's one thing our society needs to be, is more understanding and more patient. Being a human being is not easy. The wand's dry enough that I could paint the tip of it, touch it up and that sort of thing, and then set it on 2 paint cans to finish drying. You can't rush good quality. Would it be weird to put the cardinal cherries on a burger recipe? That would be kind of weird, but it sounds like something I could do for YouTube. Why not? So if y'all want to see a cooking video with the cardinal cherries, after I review them, I might be able to oblige. Pretty much do the same thing I did with the caramel corn burger, only I'd substitute the caramel corn for some cardinal cherries and put them on at the very end. That would be interesting. Not quite sure how that would taste, but Now you notice that when you're a good person and you do good things for other people, it spreads. Kindness is like laughter. It can be contagious. And it doesn't take that much. You know what I'm saying? You help somebody out just because, and they return the favor to somebody else, and then it continues. And before you know it, you're having a bad day and someone else helps you out because that's how it works. Plain and simple. I'll admit I have my faults. I'm not perfect. I'm working on it. But, you know, when women are on the defensive because they're being told their whole life growing up that all men are just pigs, and then they enter the dating scene with this defensive mentality, which then makes men defensive, and then it just continues the vicious cycle. Not trying to be a prick, but imagine if boys were taught growing up that all women are just bitches. Imagine that for 1 second. You know, if the roles were reversed, I guarantee you women would have a problem with that, and they'd fight for equality, and they get what they want because that's how women roll. It's not easy being a man, it's not easy being a woman, but at least on some issues, for the most part, women are taken more seriously than men. You know, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. You get a crowd of people, and some chick is beating the shit out of a dude. They're pointing at him, laughing at him, calling him names, filming it for YouTube, like, huh, this guy. But you flip the script and some dude beating the shit out of a chick, and I guarantee you people are gonna get on edge. They're gonna be like, whoa, hey, they're gonna come to that chick's defense. And that's not fair. I think that if men were treated like women when it came to things like domestic abuse, and if women had equal pay like men do, you know, it'd be a much better place. But that's just my opinion. If women got paid the same as men, and then if women were treated like men when it came to domestic abuse and statutory and stuff like that, you know, it'd be a much better place. Because the simple fact of the matter is no human being should have to be subjugated to random acts of violence. No human being deserves to be targeted for their gender or for their race. You know what I'm saying? That just seems stupid in my opinion. Not that my opinion matters much, but case in point, I was at my friend's house one time watching some TV, and the show that popped up was My 600-Pound Life. And, well, Well, two things. One, it makes me grateful that I have a high metabolism. And two, you know, it's sad to watch people struggle like that. And it's also inspiring to watch them lose all that weight and live a healthier life. But then the commercials that pop on the TV while that show is on. They have a show called Dr. Pimple Popper, which I'm just like, okay, it's a show about doctors popping zits. That's kind of gross. Why is that a television show? And then adding insult to injury, you see a Slim Fast commercial air right after that TV advertisement. You know, it's ridiculous, dude. I'm watching TV and I see a toy fake zits. You know, kids can make these pimples and they're fake, put them on their faces and squeeze them. Ew, it's a gross out gag sort of toy. And then right after I see the commercial for the toy zit commercial, right after I see it, I see a commercial for Proactive Zit Cream. Literally, it's bullshit, YouTube. I see one commercial glorifying puberty and another commercial shunning it. You know, like, it really stops and makes you think, man. Yeah. Now, here's what gets me about advertisement. You know what I'm saying? You can't advertise for cigarettes on TV because it sends a bad message to kids, and cigarettes are addictive and cause cancer. And that's why they don't advertise cigarettes on TV. However, they can let beer commercials run all flippin' day. You know, considering that advertising alcohol on TV is a bad message for kids. Alcohol is just as addictive as tobacco, and alcohol can cause cancer. So, you know, like, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying, you know, if you're going to ban cigarette advertisement on TV because it sends a bad message to children, cigarettes are addictive and they cause cancer, then why the flip are you letting Budweiser commercials on TV? And that's why they tell you at the end of every alcohol commercial, drink responsibly. You know what I'm saying? If people have the money to drink excessively, do you think that's going to stop them? No. What it comes down to is personal choice. And do you think the little message popping up, drink responsibly, at the end of every alcohol commercial, do you think that's going to affect people's personal choice? The answer is no. Speaking of personal choice, you can control what you do and what you say. You can't control what somebody else does or says. So if somebody else says something that affects you in a negative sort of way, stop and ask yourself, is it worth it? You know, and it's the same principle for when I'm losing my temper. There are some things I stop and think, okay, you know, it's not really worth losing my temper over. And if you think my temper is bad now, you should have seen it 4 months ago. It was ridiculous, you know. But unfortunately, personal growth doesn't happen overnight. And all you can do is try. Stay in school and don't do hard drugs, man. My final point for the evening, and speaking of school, when school programs are faced with budget cut issues, the first thing they'll cut is creativity classes and stuff like that. Usually, when a school faces budget cut issues, the first thing to go are things like choir, drama, art class, things of that nature. Very rarely do school programs involving athletics get cut first. It's usually the last thing to get cut. And this presents a problem in the education system. You know what I'm saying? Not every child is born an athlete or a superstar on the track and field. A lot of kids will excel in other areas, like using their creativity, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, when school systems decide to set this standard, it creates a problem, and this is why you see, stereotypically speaking, jocks bullying nerds. And you may think you're king shit now, but when you get out of high school, you're going to be a miserable loser just like the majority of the population. You know, and this is how it works. YouTube, this is how it works. You make fun of the poor kid in high school, I guarantee you're going to be a broke ass adult when you're older. And it's going to hit you when you're eating ramen noodles for dinner because that's all you can afford. You're going to stop and think to yourself, man. And here's the problem. When it comes to bullying in the education system, people have been doing it wrong. We're teaching children to use their words. And the same old cliche, oh, words can hurt. You got to be respectful to one another. That doesn't really work. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, you need to teach kids to relate to one another rather than teaching them to use their words, because kids are smart enough that they know that words can hurt people. And we have been preaching the same shtick for years on end. And the bullying problem has only gotten worse because of several things. One of those things being social media. You're entitled to your opinion, everyone is, but opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and they all stink. Ooh, excuse me. Now, when it comes to the dating scene, I've definitely garnered a lot more patience in the last couple of months, which is a good thing. Now, it pretty much started when I saw a news article. This couple who had survived the Las Vegas shooting died in a car accident at the same time. And that just stopped and made me think how beautifully chaotic and unpredictable life is. I mean, could you imagine surviving a mass shooting as a couple? You know, that would only make your love for one another grow stronger. Only to die in a car crash 2 weeks later. You know, each moment in life is precious, and if you have somebody you love and care about, and you're in a healthy relationship, if you're in a healthy relationship with somebody and you love and care about them, then cherish them. I'm gonna fucking wrap this shit up right quick. Long distance relationships, do they work? No, they don't. They require a lot of effort. And you might make effort and time to spend a couple weeks together, but then you spend a couple weeks apart. And part of it's good because you get your own space, do your own thing, that sort of thing. But the thing you have to ask yourself, and I'm being serious, YouTube, is the person you're dating considered attractive to the opposite gender? And if the person you're dating is considered attractive to the opposite gender, then those weeks apart, how do you know what they're really doing? When you're not with them, you can't see everything they're doing. Especially if the relationship is high maintenance outside of the long distance part. If the relationship itself is requiring work, that little voice in the back of your head that says they're not the one, you'll lie to yourself because you don't want to be alone. And eventually, when it's all you're used to, some people will let other people walk all over them. Now, if the person broke up with you once, they're probably going to do it again because you let them. Because you simply let them. And if you don't want people to walk all over you, don't let them. You're going to encounter a lot of people in life who are going to tell you you're not good enough, or you can't, or blah, blah, blah. Screw those people. See, I don't care how hard some guys may try. They can't compete with me. I've done things for women that most guys can't compete with. Yeah. And you can kid yourself all you want into thinking you can make it work. But, and I quote, never forget the ones who represent for you the most. Yeah, buddy. I'm not the kind of person that's going to go 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 plus states out of Wyoming just to find companionship. I would much rather find companionship here in town. It makes the travel less difficult. You know, I might look into saving up for a car when I get my tax returns, get my driver's license. That would definitely help with the dating scene issue a little bit. And it would show these haters that just because I have Asperger's doesn't mean I'm not capable of getting my driver's license. I'll admit it, cars are expensive, but, you know, there are times I wish I had a car because it would make life a little bit easier. 24 degrees outside and snowing, and I'm walking home from the grocery store with 7 to 8 bags, you know, 3 to 4 on one arm or the other, snow blowing, wind hitting me in the face, but I still get home. And sometimes in life, that's how you gotta do it. You gotta make the best of your circumstance, you know. So you may not have a car now, but it doesn't mean that life is complete shit, you know. If you have resources, make the best of them. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it'll make life difficult, but at least you're able to get by. And that's, you know what I'm saying? My final point for the evening, YouTube, is age is only a state of mind. You're only as old as you feel. It's quite funny because when I was having a beer with a buddy of mine at the CY Discount Liquor Store bar, this one chick was like, "You're 27?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." "You don't look it." How do you think I feel when I still get carded to buy alcohol and cigarettes? Yeah, I'm not complaining, but at the same time, it's like, really? I'm almost 30 and I'm getting carded for alcohol and tobacco. Come on. Generally, I know I'm being a hypocrite for saying it, but you shouldn't smoke. You know what I'm saying? If I go a whole day without a cigarette or any form of tobacco, I'm crabby as shit. I'm just saying. You get these assholes who are like, "Oh, smoking is so bad for you," but then they exercise to the point where they're almost pulling a muscle. For them, that's their cigarette. Too much exercise can be a bad thing. You could tear a muscle doing that. You gotta do some yoga, you could pull a hamstring doing it. And these are the same fucking hypocrites who stuff their faces with Big Macs and French fries, and they're sitting there chastising people like me for smoking. Come on, YouTube. How are you gonna sit there and say, "Well, smoking's bad for you," but you're stuffing your face with junk food and all kinds of crap? In a way, it kind of makes you a hypocrite because you're no better than the people who smoke. You have a filthy habit too. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. People need a stress relief, a fix, you know. Even if you don't smoke or drink. I got the window open and the wind's blowing my blinds. No, but even if you don't smoke or drink, maybe you paint, maybe you draw, maybe you make art, maybe you take selfies, maybe you model, maybe you lift weights. Everyone has something that they do to relieve stress. But I've heard people say, "Oh, you're a smoker, that's so disgusting." And I'm like, I'll tell you what's disgusting. The fact that women get treated like shit, that's disgusting. The fact that Flint, Michigan has unclean drinking water, that's disgusting. 40 minutes long, bloody hell. Well, I've said my piece. I'll get this uploaded in a couple hours. I'll let it upload to the desktop. Yippers. How much does it cost to have common sense? The thing about having common sense, it doesn't cost you a nickel. It's free. It's the same as having 2 cents. You know, stating or getting 2 cents doesn't cost you a nickel either. Doesn't necessarily mean people want to hear it.